This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you with a review of the Cleito subohm tank by Aspire, sent on over free for the purposes of review by EVCigarettes.com. And all I have to say is, wow, that's some airflow on this thing. Some serious airflow. Come on in here, let's take a look at this thing. Well, YouTube, today we're taking a look at the Cleito by Aspire. It's their new sub tank. And wow, just let me say, that is a lot of packaging for a sub tank. There's nothing else in here. There's no mod package with it. This is just the packaging for the sub tank. It is the tallest packaging I have ever seen for just a sub tank. But there's a reason for it. On the side it says, broad flavor, tempestuous airflow, vast vapor, and incredibly simple and easy to use. And on the back you've got, introducing the Cleito. With a revolutionary new coil and chimney combination, the Cleito brings you an extremely wide flavor spectrum as well as voluminous airflow. With these new coils, the Cleito is also amazingly simple and allows you to completely disassemble the Cleito for easy cleaning and maintenance. And of course, the Cleito is top filled for further convenience. The Cleito is sure to bring you a sea of flavor and vapor. Packaged up nice and neat from EVCigarettes.com. We're just going to slice it on open, ready to go. And inside here we got the Cleito tank. A lot of packaging for such a little tank, I gotta say. But that's because this tank comes with extras. A lot of extras, I might add. You get an extra coil, you get an extra tank, you also get cuffs that go over the top of the tank to customize it to the look of your mod. You get one in black, red, blue, and orange, and you get an orange vape band as well. So you get tons of fun stuff in the packaging that comes with the Cleito tank. Let's take a closer look at this coil head. The coil head that you get with the Cleito tank is really unique. You don't have a chimney with the Cleito tank. The whole thing is just a coil. This minimizes the amount of walls that the airflow is going to have to hit before it gets from the coil to your lips. Basically, that airflow is just going to pass straight through this coil, through the coil's own built-in chimney, through your drip tip and into your mouth. So there's very little standing between you and your vape with this particular tank. Taking a look inside the coil, it looks kind of like a cartomizer, but not really. This is just like a vertical coil head. It appears to be a single strand, and looking at it, it looks like they use a rather thick gauge here. I want to say it's probably 20 gauge, maybe 20 or 22 gauge wire that they're using in the Cleito tank, bringing it down to a 0.2 ohm coil head and wicked with organic cotton. It looks like it's a little bit more closed off than it could be in terms of the airflow. They're average sized air holes for a sub tank. They're straight. I just wonder if they were a little bit bigger, maybe just a little bit more massive, you could really take full advantage of the construction of this coil head and still rely on the airflow control built into the base to control the restriction on that airflow, rather than having that somewhat restricted already by the airflow on the coil head. Because these air holes coming in from the base are pretty massive, the airflow control turns very freely, but it's also stiff enough that it stays in place wherever you set it. And in terms of filling this tank, well, it's top fill, but there's no fill port. Basically, there's a nice thick O-ring on the base section to secure the glass in place. No leaking whatsoever, and you can basically just more or less just dump juice into this tank from the top of the glass before placing that top section into place. There's plenty of room for anything you use to fill this thing. Whether you want to go ahead and use a dropper bottle, a unicorn bottle, or just turn a bottle on its side and dump juice into this thing, it can handle it, and you can basically fill right on up to the top of this glass here. Definitely do remember to prime this coil though. Do drip some drops right on down into the chimney of the coil, down into the wicking, so that you can be sure not to get a dry hit, because, you know, you gotta be careful with these sub-ohm heads sometimes. From there, it's just a matter of closing off the tank with your top section, screwing it on down into place, drip tip and all. The drip tip is non-removable, but it is Delrin. If you pull at it, it will come off, but it's really just the shell, this Delrin shell, that fits over the drip tip. But essentially the drip tip is non-removable. It is just a one-piece top cap, which adds to the simplicity of this tank. And the section being Delrin keeps everything nice and cool. So we just screw that down into place. We're all set, we're ready to go. It doesn't get any easier than that. It doesn't. In terms of a sub tank, this is simplicity at its finest. That's the Cleito. I'll see you guys topside. We'll vape on it a bit. We'll talk about it. Well, YouTube, that is the Aspire Cleito, the new sub-ohm tank from Aspire. EVCigarettes sent it on over free for the purposes of review, and I do like it. It's got some great flavor. It's got some amazing airflow. It can blow some serious clouds. Right now I've got it wide open. I've got it turned up to 120 watts. Pretty impressive, pretty impressive. But at the same time, I wonder if there aren't certain things that could have been done just a little bit better with this tank. For example, I don't know how well you see it. It is black on black with this tank. So I don't know if you can see how open I've got my airflow right now, but it's actually only about halfway open. And that's about the time where I start to feel some restriction on the pull. Now, the reason that is because the airflow is already restricted at the coil. The coil's air intake has 4 about average sub-ohm size style air holes. But if we gave a bit more airflow to the coils, cut down on some of those walls of the coil head, cut down some of the walls on the air intake, you know, really that airflow, you can take full advantage of it. Because I'm pretty sure with this tank, you know, I could turn this thing on up way higher than 120 watts, but it needs more airflow on the coil. That's my one thing about it. I wish that the coil just had a little bit more airflow to it so I could take full advantage of the airflow in the tank. Other than that, it's pretty good. Now, the other thing is the flavor is pretty good. However, there's a reason that sub-ohm tanks, and tanks in general, have a reduced chimney. It's to improve the flavor, get even better flavor out of, you know, your vape. So this does not have a reduced chimney at all. It's just the same size of the coil, that huge diameter. I mean, it's basically as wide as the drip tip. Pretty much as wide as the drip tip is, you know, the width and breadth of this chimney. So it's not reduced in any way to improve the flavor. So it's a very good tank. There are some things that could be improved upon with it. But for what it is, the simplicity of it, the massive airflow on it, which could be more massive, but I love it for that. The simplicity of it and the massive clouds that I can get off this thing. And it's got some very good flavor too, I will say. Anyway, let's take a quick look at the EVCigarettes site. EVCigarettes has a beautiful website. They've pretty much got everything a vapor could need here. They've got starter kits, e-juice, atomizers, mods, pretty much everything all in one virtual online shop. Let's go find the Aspire Cleito. There we are. Whoa, is that really how much it is? $24.99 for this thing? That's pretty damn good, I gotta say. A $25 sub tank that comes with all those extras and accessories, that's a thumbs up in my book. That's a pretty good price. So YouTube, that is the Cleito sub tank by Aspire. Until next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. Please remember to comment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And do remember to check out Project Fog if you haven't already. I'm on there every Sunday, 10 p.m. with Vapin' Heathen, Robbie Vapes, and Hank Vapes. So check us out. And until then, vape on, vapors.